So, Charlene, welcome again. We're so glad you're here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I can always talk about myself, so please just stop me when it's gotten to be too much. But I'm Charlene Fernandez, born and raised here in Arizona, homegrown, rural roots here in Yuma County, lettuce capital of the world. I'm going to tell you how I started my career. I have been involved in politics, I feel like forever. When I was in high school, which was a long time ago, I was very active in student government. So I think it all came about then that I got really involved in the work that I was doing in my school. We actually, in Yuma County and Yuma, the Yuma High Criminals, where I graduated from, we started the first nominating convention ever where we elected our student body officers through a nominating convention. So we brought everybody into an assembly hall and they all had their signs, and just like you would see on TV with the conventions, Democratic conventions. And I was responsible for getting a speaker, and I always aim big. So I invited the governor of the state of Arizona, and that was Jack Williams. And he said yes. So he was our keynote speaker. And it was a wonderful event. We were in the front page of the paper, local paper here, and that's where it all started. As soon as I was able to, at the age of 18, I registered to vote, registered as a Democrat, never looked back. Whole family was Democrats, so that was a no-brainer. Always took part in party politics as far as registering people to vote, going to events, anything I could do on whatever level where I was at. Just a married mother of 1, 2, and then 3. I think something important about me is I was a non-traditional college student. And this is really important because this is about what we think about rural areas and what we can do to bring in rural areas. There was not a university here. So the chances of me being able to move out of this area, go away to school to Flagstaff or Tempe or Tucson, those chances were really remote. My family, we came from meager means. My dad was a government worker and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to college. But lucky for me, here in rural Yuma County, the forefathers thought we need a university here. There was an agreement with Northern Arizona University where we had an extension, and I was able to go back to school and get my degree in elementary ed. So the day that I graduated, all that time I was volunteering to elect Congressman, or at that time, Supervisor Ed Pastor, to become the first Latino congressman from Arizona. He was in my district. I met him and I started volunteering. So the day after I graduated from college, and I thought I was going to go into teaching, he called me. He had already been elected, and he called me and he says, I'm going to open an office in Yuma. Never had a congressional office in Yuma, and I want you to run it. So I said yes, and never looked back and didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I was there for 11 years, working for one of the best congressmen this state has ever seen. Because of him, you can look around Yuma County and see where his finger touched so many places, whether it was agriculture or immigration or higher education, that we were involved in everything. So I worked for him for 11 years until he was redistricted out. And then I worked for Congressman Grijalva for a short time, about 3 years. I worked for Governor Napolitano as her environmental specialist here in Yuma County and in Mexico. So I worked there for 6.5 years. And then I thought, hey, I think I can do this. So I ran for school board, served at our Yuma Union High School district board for 8 years, served as board president. And then once you get bitten by that bug of running for office, it's really hard to let go. So I ran for the state legislature. At the state legislature, I served for 8 years, and I was there the first 2 years, just getting the lay of the land. And then when I returned for my second term, I ran for whip and I won. And then when I returned my third term, I ran for minority leader and I won. Very important story between that time. When I got to the legislature in my freshman year, as they call us, there's only 22 of us. We were pretty insignificant. We kind of walked around and didn't get a lot done. And I was just quietly thinking in my head, this is not the way things are supposed to be. And the next year I started working with everyone saying, let's get out. Let's get out of these four walls of the capital area here. And we started going into areas that maybe normally Democrats wouldn't go into. Mojave County, La Paz County. We went up to Nogales area. We were very welcome there, but we went to areas where we normally don't go. And we took the budget on the road. We started talking about the budget to regular people, 63. So I was really proud of us, but I also learned something, is that you have to get out and talk to your voters. It's not enough to get their vote and say, one and done, thank you so much, and you move on to Phoenix and they stay where they're at. You have to come and talk to them about the work that you're doing, and then you have to bring other people with you. I served my last term there at the legislature. I ended up resigning, which I never, ever would have thought I would do that because I never leave anything. But President Biden came calling, and he appointed me as the USDA State Director for Rural Development. What an opportunity that was. For 3 years, I was able to travel all over Arizona in every rural area, places that I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know they existed. And it was amazing to hear the stories, to see those welcoming arms of people that you would not think would welcome us. Granted, we were going there with big checks and lots of resources, but still, people that you didn't think would understand that our government is there to do the work of the people. And when I got to rural development, I inherited a staff that had just been with the Trump administration for 4 years. There were 31 individuals. And by the way, long ago, rural development here in Arizona had over 100 employees. These were people that were going out into our communities everywhere. During the Trump administration, it had whittled down to 31. So these 31 employees weren't used to community engagement. They weren't used to outreach. They weren't used to having a town meeting. And I get there. And I was like, okay, we're getting out. We've got lots of cars in the parking lot. Everybody figure out what car you're going in. Take a buddy with you and let's go. And that's what we did. We did that for 3 years. In that time, we had record number of investments in our small communities in agriculture, in housing. In fact, Arizona was ranked number 4 in the nation in self-help housing, where people were building their own homes under the supervision of a contractor, and then we would provide the loans after the house was built. We had people going into homes with very, not only low interest rates, but with great equity in their home that they built. So we had moved ourselves up to number 4. So I was there for 3 years, and on January 20th, that was my last day. I walked out on January 20th and have been just helping out here in Yuma County with my own party, trying to get some events off the ground, some fundraising events, and then this opportunity came up. I'm excited about this opportunity. I feel like it's another challenge that maybe we can start working in rural Arizona. And I know you all have. I know you all have been doing the work, but I think there needs to be a special emphasis in town halls. I've already talked to legislators, I got to tell you. Obviously have not been elected, but I told several of the legislators as I called them to tell them that I'm running. I said, and if I win, and by the way, I don't run to lose. So I plan on winning. So when I win, I need you to be the ambassador to go out into your community and talk about what's happening in this country right now and can happen here in Arizona and is happening here in Arizona. But I don't want you just in your community. I need you in those other communities, those red communities where you've never walked before. I need you to go over there where they don't have Democratic representation. They don't see the work that you're doing. They don't hear about the work that you're doing. They don't see the budget that is being built on their backs. I plan on using as many people as I can, and I'm calling them ambassadors, our legislators, our Democratic mayors, and our Democratic mayors are out there. They're everywhere. I saw them. I met them. Democratic City Council people, I met them too. School board members that truly believe that are there for the right reasons, that believe that education is getting shortchanged here in Arizona. We need to call upon them and make sure that they're not only on their page, but on our page too, that we're all singing from the same songbook. I love the concept of town halls. I keep thinking the election is September 13th. So maybe 14, 15 months until the November election. So I'm thinking, okay, a town hall every other week, but I always think big like that. I would love to see that. We haven't had a town hall in Yuma County, so I know there's some of us that have been missed. Our senators, Senator Kelly and Senator Gallego, are doing a tremendous job reaching out to people, but they need our help, and we need to be their partners, and I want to facilitate that. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'd love to take questions and hopefully fill in some gaps.
Okay. Once again, if you'd like to ask your question, all you have to do is raise your hand. Barathan has, and you do that at the bottom of the page. And if you'd like to type out in the chat room, we can accommodate you there too. Barathan.
The way I see the structure of the Democratic Party by law is that anyone can run in a primary, but the party cannot intervene and throw its weight behind any particular candidate. Once the primary is over, by law, the party is required to support whoever wins the nomination. So the nominee at any point in time is not really committed to a party platform. And so my question is, as chair of the Democratic Party, what do you see as the role of the party, not just in electing people, but in pushing the line of what Democrats are about?
That's a really good question and an important question. I see, and I get it, because I ran in a primary and there was other people running with me, against me, and I really wouldn't have wanted my party that I had worked very hard with and for to say, we're going with him or we're going with her. But I would appreciate, and I hope to implement this, that when we have, let's say we have 4 or 5 that are running for LD2 legislature, that we bring them in, that we bring them into the fold, all of them at the same time. And we talk about our platform and our priorities and our values and how they should be reflected out in their communities. Now, I think they bring something valuable to us. When you have a candidate, you want to hear why they're running, no matter who they are, no matter how many other ones there are. Why are you running? Are you running based on education? You know, your kids are in school and you feel like they're not getting what they should be getting, roads, infrastructure, just all fairness, whatever. So we want to hear from every one of them, and I want them to hear from us. And then I think that would prepare us better when one of them wins the primary and comes out as the person that we will be supporting in the general. I know that sounds very simplistic and it's kumbaya, because I know it won't be kumbaya. I've been there, done that. And it really, the primaries, you come out bruised up. You really come out bruised, black eye, feelings hurt, but we have to recover quickly and beat that Republican.
Can I do a follow-up question, please, Joe?
Go for it.
It's very quick. Do you think organizations like DGT, which are not really a part of the Democratic Party, do you think we can do something with primary candidates to ensure that they stay within a platform of the party? What do you think?
I think 100%. This is right now in this time, right this second, it is all hands on deck. We need all the help we can get. We're not going to do this alone. We have to win, not just for Arizona. We have to win Democrats up and down the ballot, not just for Arizona, but for this country, because we have to send more congressional representatives that are Democrats to Washington, D.C. to put up those guardrails so that Medicare is not cut, so that Medicaid is not cut, so that's hands off of our Social Security, and the Department of Education continues to fund our education system here in Arizona and every other state. The stakes have never been so high, and I know we say that every single time. I probably said that the first time I ran. The stakes are high, but they've never been this high. It is critical that we get help from you, that you can help our primary candidates, and so that when we come out of that primary, we're ready to go against that. It's everybody supporting that primary candidate that won to win the general election.
Thank you.
Okay, Lillian Fox, your hand's up.
an activist on my school board, and my school district is the third biggest in Arizona. We get people who are elected who don't know how to use these documents. They're totally unfamiliar with the budget. They're terrified of the budget. They won't even look at it. We need training for people after they get elected about basic skills they have to do their jobs.
I do. And I'm going to tell you where I learned so much about being a school board member, for good or for bad, because I do hear the negative, but the Arizona School Board Association, they were there every step of the way. I think I just gotten elected, November, and by December I had a training. And it was just constant training. Whatever they offered, I went. Back then we didn't do Zoom. It would have been great, but wherever, whatever, I was there because I wanted to get it right. And by the way, everything I learned there prepared me for the state legislature. I tell people this all the time. I went to the state legislature not afraid. I learned a lot there, but I was not afraid because I think I had the basics from ASBA. We have to partner, and I don't know, so forgive me, I don't know if they would partner with a political organization, but we need to work in conjunction with ASBA and organizations like that will train our school board members, because those school board members that are Democrats are someday going to be our representatives, believe me. I remember when Republicans were like, we're going to take over, and this isn't just recent, I'm talking about years ago. The long game. They're always the long game. Believe me, we think really quick on our feet and we do things right away. They're thinking the long game. And that was their plan, to take over school boards and to take over nonprofits. I saw it right here in my own community. Every single one of our nonprofits, it was usually the board members were down. A lot of them were Democrats. The person in charge was not anymore. And that was a direct effort from our Republican counterparts, as you want to call them.
We've got some questions in the chat. Karen Gleason writes, do you have a plan to bring our party back together after the very contentious atmosphere we just left behind?
From what I hear, it was very contentious. When I told you about my time at rural development and being a presidential appointee, I got to tell you, they are very strict. You can't even be a precinct committee person and serve the president. It's wild right now, but it wasn't like that under the previous administration. So therefore, I wasn't involved or knew the inside baseball stuff about what was going on with your last party chair. But anytime, you inherit a group of people, you have to start building that trust. Building that trust, not just with the employees. I don't even know how many employees you all have right now, but building employees with organizations like yours, building trust with party chairs, LD chairs, with the legislature, the Democrats at the legislature, and mayors and city council. It's not an easy job, but you have to build that trust that you're going to listen, that they matter, that they can come into the fold, that nobody's left out, nobody's left behind. And that is my plan. It's lofty. It's a lot. I get it, but I'm reaching for the stars. And I really want to build that coalition of people that know that I'm going to listen to them, that I'm going to go out there. With rural development, I visited every county, every single county in the state, and I plan on doing that same thing as when I am elected. I've already been going to LD meetings. I plan to keep that up. I think that's important for people to see your face, not just at fundraisers and fun events, but during the tough times too. So that's basically my plan. I know that it sounds pretty easy. It's going to be tough. I think it would also be nice if we support that. And I know you would if you heard ahead of time. But we got to make sure that we assure our electeds that we are there for them, that when they have a town hall, that we're there registering people to vote. That's critical. I just want to tell you, I was in a waiting room at a doctor's office. I took my sister to the doctor, and she was in there, and these people were sitting next to me, an elderly couple. And they said, we just started talking about politics, of course. And they said that they were registered independents. And I just smiled, and they said, do you think it would be, they said, we've never voted for a Republican in our lives. Do you think it'd be better if we registered as Democrats? And I said, absolutely. And the lady looked at her husband. She says, tomorrow we're going to go change our registration. So every single time we are anywhere, we start that conversation. If we're at a town hall, we're registering people to vote and we're talking about what we're doing. We're supporting, whether it be a legislator, whether it be our U.S. congressmen or our U.S. senators, but we are there talking about our values and how important it is that people register as Democrats. And if they're independents, that they re-register as Democrats. Those are the things that we should be doing. And I know where you were going, Lillian, talking about maybe things are done in a vacuum, but I really do think we need to build that support so that Senator Mark Kelly will feel comfortable calling on us and saying, we're having a town hall and we need you there.
Mark Kelly was at an event with hundreds of people and addressing Social Security. I think we maybe need to just share things. We can do that with the Democrats Greater Tucson. I'm sure now that we know where we're going to approve a new chair for the Arizona Democratic Party, I think we'll see all the statewide candidates, and I think they're out there. And we just need to encourage them to all come to Tucson, just like Charlene is doing.
Yes.
I love Tucson. I was just there last week and got that award, the Social Security Award from Congressman Grijalva's office for my support of Social Security over the years. So that was a very proud moment for me. And my hashtag was, I love Tucson.
Okay, Bridget.
Hi, Charlene. Bridget Richechi here. Nice to see you. I'm so excited for you. I know that I'm very biased when it comes to Arizona List because they've been incredibly successful over the last 22 years. Can you tell me your plans to collaborate with Arizona List going forward?
Bridget, I have been with Arizona List from day one. And let me tell you a little story. I would say that Arizona List was very responsible for me being the minority leader. And it was the morning of the election. I'm not embarrassed to tell you, the vote was 15-14. And it was just one of those things. And it was 15-14. I was talking to Kathy on the phone. I said, Kathy, I think it's going to be really close. I'm a little nervous. I've counted noses. I don't know how many times I'm up on this, but I'm just not sure. And she says, okay, let me make some calls. And make some calls she did. She solidified those 15. And it was because of Arizona List that I could pick up the phone and call them. Pam Grissom is the same. If I ever needed anything, I could go to Pam. And I hope they feel the same way about me, because when they needed a moderator or when they needed a person there, or if they needed someone in rural Arizona, I was there. So I hope they can say the same thing about me. So they will always be in the fold for me. Definitely, Bridget. And thank you for that question. And my best to all of them.
Okay. Becky Schulman has her hand up.
I'm just really concerned about the Corporation Commission, and nobody's mentioned the importance of that. I seem to be having a really hard time breaking into that. What are your thoughts about that?
Becky, I've never looked into it, but we had Anna Tovar on there. She was on the Corporation Commission and then decided not to run. And I don't know why. And I don't know why someone didn't tell her how it was critical that she stay on there, that if there was something we could do for her to keep her on there for another 4 years until we had someone to replace her. That was a great loss. That was a little bit of a backstop for a lot of the crazy things that were happening. I know she was only one person, but she got along real well with Commissioner Peterson. It's those things that when people are already elected, you have to support them, even though they're already in there and they've won big and they're doing great things. You don't know if one day they wake up and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, without letting us know. We have to be that party that's on top of our elected officials and just say, how's it going? What can we do to support you? Are things going well? If I look at our legislators, they make $24,000 a year. How can we support them? How can we support that? How can we make sure that they run again? And if they simply can't, how can we get a good legislator to replace them? How can we build that bench so we always have someone good coming in? But I just keep drawing on that with Anna Tovar. I don't know how that happened, that from one day to the next, it was becoming too grueling and time consuming for an outside job or family. I don't know. We need to stay on top of that to make sure that our elected officials are in their positions, comfortable. What can we do to make sure that they're going to run again? And if not, that we get someone good to run to replace
Well,
them.
we had three good candidates, and two were from Maricopa, and one was from Pima, Joshua Polachek. And they ran robust campaigns.
Joe, and they did, but and no criticism. So please, this is no criticism. I hear people say, we came to Yuma County, we were here for this event. We had a fundraiser, and I know all three were there. You have to go and go again and go again. Rural communities, you don't do one and it's done. And I'm speaking from experience and I'm speaking from my heart. They want to see you. I heard, I think Saturday, someone said we were up in Colorado City. I went to Colorado City and it's a long ways up and it's a tough place to be. I got to tell you, it's a tough place to be, but I went back and I went back again. And then I sent staff because it's that important to build that relationship. One and done is not enough.
I think you're making a great point. Any other questions? Barathan has one in the chat room. The ACC requires candidates who have statewide name recognition. How can the ADP help to make that happen?
Oh, I've got an answer for that. I'm going to tell you a little story. When I was a director of rural development and I went into a community up in Bisbee. By the way, I didn't represent Bisbee at all at the state legislature. And I get there and they're like, we remember you. You came out here with a budget. Weren't you in the legislature? I remember you. So we have to make our legislators that are serving us right now get out into become statewide candidates. They need to go into other communities and other counties. We have to facilitate that with a town hall. We have to facilitate that with any kind of meeting, bring them out. It works. I had the easiest job. I really did with rural development because I'd walk in and at least 2 or 3 people knew who I was. And yet I represented this little area called Yuma County with a portion of Pima and a portion of Pinal and a portion of Pima, Pinal, and Maricopa. And just a small smidge of Maricopa. But I went up to Chinle and they knew who I was. So it really makes a difference if you get people out of their comfort zone.
Let's see. Any other questions? We have a hand up in the chat. Barathan, to understand what you are saying, you are suggesting that state legislators go to their constituencies to introduce ACC candidates? ?
No, I'm saying that we need to make our legislators are serving us. Maybe they're our next statewide candidate. How can we help them and help ourselves at the same time? When we do a town hall, we bring them out. When we talk about the budget, who knows the budget better than our state legislators? Take them with us on the road so they can talk about the budget at the same time we're talking about cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and hands off our Social Security. Bring those legislators out so those names are learned all over the state. So when they do decide to run, we're building the bench at the same time. When they do decide to run, they already have name recognition in these remote areas.
I hear you. And Paul Stapleton Smith, good to see you, Paul. You have a question?
I'm a political coordinator for my union. I do coalition work, policy, and campaigns. What's important is that our labor unions historically often have been treated like ATMs by the Arizona State Democratic Party and other Dem folks. How would you be different from previous service? And as state committee members, how can we be better state committee members?
That's us. It's all about inclusion, Paul. You know that. Including our union members in whatever we are doing. And I know we did that at the Arizona State Legislature. We were true partners with our union brothers and sisters. And Paul is right. The union had a van and we got some legislators, put them in the van and went out to the strike area. Stopped at the store and bought food and went out there and walked with our signs because it was that important to us. Not only was that important to us, but unions were our partners and we would always stand by our unions. So I think we have to practice inclusion. Sometimes we forget that, like you said, use them as an ATM. They're the first people we go to when we need something, when we're selling tickets, when we're fundraising, whatever that looks like. But we have to remember to include them all the way. So thank you, Paul, for that question.
Okay. Let's see. There's no such thing as a bad question.
Joe, and while you're fielding the questions, I want to tell you, if you ever have any doubt about the fact if I'm a fighter or not, on January 6th, if we all remember what happened at the U.S. Capitol, I was a minority leader at that time. I signed a letter with 42 other Democrats, both Senate and House, asking for the Department of Justice to investigate anyone that was a sitting legislator that was climbing the wall at the Capitol. Because there was 42 of us and they decided to choose me, and 3 of our legislators at the state capitol sued me, took me to court. I had to go all the way up to the Arizona Supreme Court. I won that, but I fought all the way because I knew it was the right thing to do. I could have given up, but I didn't, because it was the right thing to do. We were not just throwing this out there. What they did at the U.S. Capitol was horrible. But to think that there was sitting legislators there was wrong. And if you ever have any doubts about me being a fighter, I am a fighter.
Lucy has in the chat, Charlene was an unwavering ally of the Arizona Education Association while in office.
Red for Ed all the way. My daughter is a teacher, and that's my background. I received my degree in elementary education. Let's
say you are the next Arizona Democratic Party chair. What is your first 100 days going to be like?
I'm going to tell you what my first day is going to be like. Number one, I want to find out what the financials look like. And I want to make sure that there's guardrails, that we make sure that every penny we spend is accounted for. That's really important to me, very important to me. But as I said, I've already talked to legislators. I want to bring all our partners in. Unions, not at the same time, unions, legislators, the Arizona Education Association folks, it's all hands on deck. And I'm going to need all their help to make sure that we can execute in the next 15 months a strategy that gets us to win up and down the ballot. That's just critical to me. We just cannot end up on losing by just a few votes come November of 2026. So it's critical to me that it's all hands on deck, all of you. The expectation is that all of you have a hand in this, that you know what's going on, that we're not doing things in a vacuum. I don't like that at all. I never liked it at the legislature. I never liked it at USDA. We were very open during the 3 years I was at USDA, but I know what happened before. Things were done in a vacuum, and that's when things go wrong. So I just want to make sure everybody is included.
The state party is a big enough territory for you to manage and lead. What about the national party? It's no secret that we're still lost in the woods as far as the national party goes.
That's probably true. I think we have found our voice. I feel very confident that we have found our voice. We just have to prove to our electeds that we are there. And being a former elected official, I know how hard it is to fight every single day and then wonder if there's anyone behind you. You look back and see who's there. So we need to make sure that our elected officials know that we have their back, that we have the back of Greg Stanton, that we have the back of Ruben Gallego, that we have the back of Mark Kelly, that when we elect Adelita as the first Latina to represent Arizona, that we'll have her back. We have to make sure that they know. So I think we are on real good footing. I just believe, just based on what my experience is, that we have a tendency to, they win and they're on their own.
We have a couple comments in the chat room. Mary Gresham mentions, to give an example of legislators getting out to communities not their own, Ruben Gallego, when he was a U.S. legislator from Phoenix, came to Tucson to do a town hall.
Yep.
because Martha McSally was not doing any town halls.
Yep. And if you've been listening to the news, Republicans have been telling their congressmen not to have town halls because they've become so contentious. Few of them are bucking the system and still having town halls, and they're becoming very chaos, but they're being told not to do it. So we have to pick up the slack. We have to be there. We have to be the party that listens. That's just critical that we listen. We have to be really short on promises and long on solutions. I used to have that hanging in my office when I worked for Congressman Pastor. Short on promises, but really long on solutions. And the only way you can be long on solutions is to listen to people.
Salil Deshpande writes a note to everyone. What are your specific plans for voter registration and increasing the number of registered Democrats?
Okay. Thank you. I had to close that door. I've got dogs. My plans is that we register everywhere. We've gotten to this place where, and I don't know if it's like this all over the state, but I'm going to talk about Yuma County, where we go to the fair. Okay, we've already done the fair, and I think we should continue that. But, and I also don't like to say I used to do, or we used to do, or this is the way it was done. But a while back, we would be at every graduation. Every high school graduation, and we would just hand out the voter registration form. Or if they met in the auditorium, we would have a voter registration form on every seat so that the kids would leave with a voter registration form. If they filled it out, we were right there to take it. We used to go to citizenship ceremonies where hundreds of people were being naturalized, and we'd be outside in the heat with our voter registration forms. You have to take every single opportunity that you can think of. Is that a doctor's office? Yes. Is it at a real estate office? I went to see a few of my friends that were real estate agents, and I said, look, when you sell a house, could you just give them a voter registration form, a couple of them, so husband and wife can fill this out? I'll be happy to come back for them. Don't mail them in. Just let me know. I'll turn them in for you. Take every opportunity to talk about how important it is that we vote. Take every opportunity to talk about the fact that it was the Democrats that brought us Social Security. It was the Democrats that brought us Medicare. It was the Democrats that gave us the Affordable Care Act. It was the Democrats. And those are the things that have to resonate with the people that are attending public schools, going to the doctor when you're sitting there, buying homes. Talk to them about USDA. We used to build homes and there was plenty of money. What I'm hearing now is they've clawed a lot of it back. But talk about a lot of these neighborhoods are USDA funded. Those houses are secured by USDA loans. Go ahead and talk about that stuff. Don't be afraid to be a Democrat. We should be proud of the fact. Someone was just telling me that this is sad. Their son was in a motorcycle accident. By the way, he's okay. She's a Republican. Kid's probably Republican too. She said, oh, all the hospitalization was covered because he can stay on my insurance until he's 26 and he's 24. And I'm like, wow, you know who that was? That was Barack Obama. That was the Affordable Care Act. Did you know that? Did you know that? Because my kids got off our insurance when they were 18 years old. But that wasn't right, was it? So you have to remember to say those things. You can say, I'm really sorry they were in a motorcycle accident, but I'm really happy that we were able to cover that with your insurance.
We definitely need a strong dose of the only thing to fear is fear itself.
That's right.
Let's see, Lillian, your hand's up.
It sounds like you have a perfect background for this job. I like the things you're saying. I wonder if you could put out a list of bullet points that every Democrat ought to be saying, like you just reeled them off. The other thing I would say, I think doing the voter registration everywhere is great. With kids, one of the things to keep in mind, a lot of families, nobody votes in the family. I'm a retired teacher. I had the voter registration forms in my classroom, and I explained to kids they should get their family members to vote too.
Okay.
Voter registration.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because people who are in their 50s and 40s who've never voted are embarrassed to go vote because they have no idea what they're going to do.
No, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I think legislators often felt like they just didn't have the support of the state party. Especially new legislators just feel like they're all by themselves. I think all candidates ought to be treated equally and ought to be supported equally. I saw it all too often where there was a predetermined favorite and they just kind of let other folks down. You need to give everybody a fair and equal chance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Hey, Joe, real quick, I wanted to tell you about, as we were talking about voter registration, but the mindset of young people. I have the unique opportunity when I was at the legislature, and then they didn't use me, obviously, because I was a presidential appointee, but I could go, they would call me to go to Girl State and to speak to all the young women there. And these are juniors from all over the state of Arizona, and they convene at the U of A. An amazing event in June. They have you're all familiar with Girl State, I'm sure. They have the whole week where they elect a governor, senators, they have a mock government. So they have me come in and talk, and they love to hear the stories about the legislature. They would just laugh and have a great time. But I looked at these young people, and I was always trying to gauge, okay, which ones are Republicans, come from Republican households, and which ones come from Democratic households. All I saw were the kids, these young women were interested in our government. They were hungry to learn about what we were doing. These are the kids we need to think about. And there's so many of them, not just the Girl State. I'm just saying, just think about those kids that are really interested in being part of the process. Don't be afraid to ask. To see can I go to the school? Can I take voter registration forms to a football game? I don't know. Just think outside the box. And if they say no, they said no. But you can do this. We can register a lot of these young people that are seniors. And then if they're 17 years and 6 months, we can register them to vote. I think it's 6 months. They can register early, which is awesome. Do it before they leave and go away to college. And I used to chase people when they were already at the university and get your ballot in, signed up for an early ballot. Make sure when you get your ballot, get it in. Just those little things that make a difference.
Paul Stapleton Smith, your hand is up.
The majority of our state committee members understand that ADLCC has a horrible track record of winning legislative races. But really, what's not clear is ADLCC has a repeated pattern and philosophy of not running Democrats in every single race. And they actively discourage using clean election money. The staff there churns and burns and churns and burns, but all of us have experienced across the state, and here in Southern Arizona specifically, ADLCC chasing candidates out of races or saying, oh, we're going to use single shot strategy because we're the wise people and we know how to do that. Having said that, even in red districts with clean elections money, I've spoken with Tom Peters or Tom Collins over at Clean Elections extensively, and ADLCC is a party program. They pretend that they're not. And those of us who do campaign work, what could you do to change that and guarantee us that running a candidate in every race, even in red districts, which we know lifts up and down the ballot, running against a Gail Griffin, running against a Warren Peterson, can we get a commitment to change that practice and that we really run Democrats in every single race?
Thank you for that question, Paul. I live both sides because I was part of the ADLCC where they played in my race. And then I was definitely Clean Elections during my first election. So I know the value of both. And there definitely is a value of both, but I feel like there is no commonality, like where you merge together. I think there has to be some discussion. Yes, by all means, we have to run someone in every single LD. Why in the heck would a Democrat go out and vote on the top of the ticket if they have no vested interest on the bottom or in the middle? They're just stay home. I don't know anybody that's running. So we have to run someone in every district. Every single district. And we have to take advantage of clean elections. By golly, some of our forefathers worked hard to pass clean elections in Arizona, and they were Democrats, by the way. So please, I tell everyone that is thinking about running, I go to clean elections first. Figure out if that's going to work in your area, how that will work. I will help you get fives. I can't tell you how many candidates I helped get $5 donations. I'd probably be close to a millionaire. I enjoyed it because who doesn't want to give $5? Come on. Who doesn't want to give $5? You go into a lawyer's office and everybody on staff was on board to give $5. every single person. I'm a true believer in clean elections and a true believer that if we work together, we can really do great work. But I was on the short end of ADLCC. They didn't invest enough or didn't actually invest at all in LD. At that time, it was LD4. And that was our 30th vote that we lost there. We would have been 30-30 in the Arizona State Legislature. Imagine that. I probably would have been Speaker of the House at least for one term, one session. That's the reality. And they didn't feel like they had to invest in that race for some reason. I have no idea. And so we need to, it's like we need to come to, and I don't want to say come to Jesus, come to Jim Peterson moment where we start talking about this and how we can work together.
If we don't run, we never win.
You will not win. If you ever have a chance to go to Delano, that's where you talk about true democracy and what that looks like.
What an awesome session. Charlene, we thank you. You covered all the bases and you did it with passion and panache.
But please vote for me and tell your friends that you heard from me. And I will, if someone says she did this, and tell them to send a question. You all have how to contact me. Joe knows how to contact me. I'm always available, whatever that looks like. I really want to win this.
I think there's a bunch of us that would like to see that happen. You keep up the good work and you're an inspiration.